on when it's on. Okay, welcome. Going to get this all set up. I am actually going to set it up so that I can post it on our Miracles, Magic, and Coffee right now, just in case anybody comes on right now and is looking for the link. So it's going to be on ralphhavens.com/miracles, magic, and coffee, and you can look for that. So that should be good to go.
Can say hi.
Okay, so this is a show about how to get over autoimmune conditions, even if you've already tried everything else, and so you can get your health and your life back. And I'm going to go to close those blinds. So anyway, yeah, so we're going to be looking at all the blocks to that, and we're going to bring in a lot of people. I just emailed my teacher and friend, Tom G. Mateo. He's going to be doing a whole bunch of stuff with us. So look for that. And so let me go close those blinds, and then Jen can just start with what her intention is for today.
Oh, these are pop quizzes for me. So yeah, we were talking some last night, and really thinking about this idea of what is the narrative that we have in our heads for various things in our lives. But one very important narrative is, what narrative are we telling ourselves about the body? So we were just exploring that quite a bit. And that is one thing that I appreciated about meeting Ralph, was I loved the narrative he had about the body. So yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you. So I want to start back, just because I was, as Jen took Ben to school, I had a cool way to come into this. And so I thought I would do this this way. So years ago, before Jen and I met, actually right as we met, she was taking a Feldenkrais class, which is a form of movement therapy. It's a thing where you move your body in certain ways. And my client, who had a friend who taught that, and so she introduced me to her, and then she was doing this class in my office, and so then Jen was working for that friend, and so then Jen was taking that at the office. And when it took a while, but I was finally like, oh man, I just think I want to go out with Jen. And some stuff happened where I thought, oh no, it's never going to happen, because she was gone for a while, and then turns out she was just traveling to all sorts of places, Turkey and Egypt and stuff. But then she came back, and she was, one night it was dark, like wintertime, and she was walking home. I thought, it was Mission Hills in San Diego, and I had a 7-minute walk, and I was walking about maybe like 50 feet behind her, and I thought, I probably should take a different route just so she doesn't think I'm like stalking her, even though I was stalking her. And so what I want to do right now is just ask you, like, what did you want back then? Like I know you went to Mueller College of Massage, and you were starting your own thing, and you were in this really weird Feldenkrais class. Can I go back and just kind of let everybody know? I don't even know for sure. What were you looking for?
What was I looking for? Well, I kind of had the whole world of holistic approaches to the body kind of open up to me with going to massage school, and it was this whole new world to learn about for me. And I loved the stories about the body and how empowering they were, but also how fascinating, because they were just so different than what I'd learned before. And I'm a very curious person, and I love to learn new things. So I liked being immersed in that world. And at the time I had a couple different things going on. Ultimately, I really felt drawn to being a mother, but I was determined to only do that if I had a really good situation for that. And at the time I wasn't finding a partner that I felt like I would want to have that journey with. And so I kind of had it in the back of my mind. It was in my goals for like within the next 5 years to make myself financially sound enough that I would have the option to adopt and be a single mom. And I was open to meeting someone, but I really wasn't focused on that right then. I was more focused on meeting those financial goals, and I was fascinated with the holistic world. And Thanks to a business teacher I had, I never thought I'd be starting my own business. And I was coming out of massage school, both inspired to start my own business and empower myself that way, and also like give my gifts that way. And also I was able to teach at the school, which I really love, the arena of education. So, and just, it was a great place to teach because I got to see people as they were transitioning in their lives, making a big change, coming into the holistic world. So I kind of had all those factors going. So those were kind of my big picture things. It was like I was focused on exploring this whole new world and being immersed in it, being around people that thought that way and were super positive and excited about health and vitality, while also in the background working towards my ultimate goal of being a mother and setting up life so that I could do that in a really good way. So
cool. And we got a really cool email from somebody, a Facebook message, and I think we might share some of that story, just a bit of it, without giving away too much information for privacy stuff, but something that could help you even today, something that's been really big for us in our lives. So look for that in just a little bit, but I want to check in. You went to a school called Mueller College of Massage, and there was this guy named Bill Mueller. Mm-hmm. And you know, there's all sorts of massage therapy schools. There was one in Pacific Beach, and you chose that one, and you used to talk about him a lot. What was it about that version of massage what was going on there?
Oh, it was incredible. He just worked on so many levels with things. He was looking at all the interconnections between, you know, what's happening with us energetically, what's happened to us physically, you know, how trauma, he really was focused on trauma and how both emotional and physical trauma is stored in the body in a long-term way, and how to talk to the body, how to talk to the nervous system, not to force the body to do things, but to talk to the nervous system and retrain, re-educate those parts, have those parts essentially telling a different story to them so that they can relax and not feel like they need to be protected all the time.
How do you talk to the body?
Well, his approach was that he used Swedish Massage, and he took the 5 basic strokes in that, and he simplified it down into three strokes that you could do to the body. And also he had a way to assess where is the body constricted and holding something that doesn't make sense. So you would look at the person on the table, how they're lying on the table, and you did this whole routine, just gently rocking the body and seeing. It was partly your intuition and part, you know, is learning how to listen. You know, rocking the body and seeing where you notice, like, oh, this moves differently. There seems to be something here. And then going and using these different strokes to, you know, whether you did something energetic, like sometimes the body doesn't even want you to touch it. It just is soothed by having your hands near it, but not touching it. Sometimes it wants to be held in a very still way. Sometimes it wants a transverse motion, and sometimes it wants a longitudinal motion. And so
how did you know what it would want?
That's what he observed over time, was taking these different Swedish motions. And if you can find what he called the epicenter of where the body was holding this trauma, and you could find out which of those strokes talked to the nervous system in a way that it relaxed, and you would watch the person and be communicating with them and making sure, you know, this was okay to you know, work on this spot on the knee and to go here. But if you could find where their parasympathetic nervous system kicked in, where their breathing started to relax, they kind of, you know, their eyes fluttered and they went to this different space, then you knew, oh, the idea was to activate the parasympathetic system at that point of trauma so that that area could relearn it had gotten stuck in this emergency situation where all it could relate to was pain. And so if you could allow it to experience pleasure again, then you're working with like the real physiological stuff within the body of of reprogramming those neurological loops that just keep saying, this area only experiences pain, so I must protect it so it doesn't experience pain. If you can get it to experience pleasure, you activate a different part of the brain and the nervous system in a different way, and it lets go of that loop. Ideally, if you've found the right spot and you're doing what it wants, it's all about listening, then the nervous system could relearn, and then the body could start to readjust and not feel like it had to protect that area anymore. And that usually has ramifications throughout the whole body, because you would, maybe your shoulder's sore over here because you're actually holding your body in a way to protect the epicenter of trauma over here. So if you can retrain this area, then the other parts of the body can start to, find their new way of moving, where they're not always trying to protect this. But usually, the soreness is going to be somewhere else, because those muscles are being used. I don't know. It was a whole really fascinating way to talk to the body, I guess.
So you're paying attention. So when you started with Mueller, did you know this is what you were getting into?
I didn't. I had a really good feeling. There are just those times in your life when you just, I went to my first class and I was like, oh my gosh, I am home. Like those times where you're just like, I'm back on track. And
what made you take your first class? Like, you paid money, you started?
Yeah. It was a leap of faith, because I did not have, it was a time, it was right before, we didn't know this would happen, but it was a time when Mueller did not have financial aid. That ended up happening right about the time I was running out of money to pay for school. So I was, working a full-time job, and I had worked 2 jobs for a while to try to pay off debt and such. But I always loved massaging my friends, and I was known among my friends as like, oh, Jen, can you come give me a massage or whatever? And so I just had this real passion, but I had never, and I did it like, I'd be on the playground and begging my teachers to give them a back rub when I was in 2nd grade. I remember doing that. Yeah. And I would at family events, I would be roaming around the table, giving the adults all shoulder rubs and stuff. I just really loved to do that, but I never thought of it. I didn't even know people did that as a career. I just really didn't. And so finally, I was always focused on some kind of really intellectual, not that massage can't be very intellectual, but it was not on my radar. And so my roommate at the time, who knew me really well, he said, Jen, why don't you go to massage school? That's what you love. That's, you're working this office job. I understand.
What was your nickname for him?
Oda.
Oda.
Isn't that funny? So, he knew I was working that office job for a purpose. I wanted to just I experienced life outside of school. I'd been so focused as a student for so long, and just kind of become a normal person for a while. But then ultimately, I was coming to my end of that phase of wanting to really get back on my path and do my purpose, as opposed to just kind of exploring being in the world in a different way and just having to meet my needs financially. So, yeah, he said, why don't you sign up for a massage course? And I think maybe one of the other girls in our office was in school there or something. And so I started looking into it. And like I said, once I made the decision and I just trusted, I was like, I can't see down the road how I can finish this program financially in 3 years. I don't know how I can pay for it, but I've just got to start. And it felt so right, and it felt so good. And it was a ton of work, because I'd go to work all day, and then I'd go to class for 4 hours at night, every night. And then over the weekends, it was all studying and practicing, but it was so fascinating. I just loved it. And I would go after school. I would go get a burrito and go sit somewhere and study for, at Barnes and Noble for another hour if they were still open, or this or that, because I just loved it so much. I was so excited about it. So
Did you have good burritos in San Diego?
They did back in my burrito days.
Yeah. And so you were kind of driven for some reason, even though you were
excited and curious. I'd found, what I was passionate about and my next thing to learn, and that gives me life energy. So.
And stuff started falling into place with the financial stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So when one of the times we first met, it might've been when we first met, we were doing a demo at the office. And so it was amazing. It was it was a great demo.
It was a great demo.
Because I talked about, it was before Matrix Energetics, and we had probably about 40 people there in a little office, 1,200 square foot office, 40 people or more. And my staff was there. One of them was supposed to be filming, but she forgot to film. And afterwards, my person that worked for me was like, I can't believe we didn't film it. Because it was really cool, because this woman got up and she couldn't bend forward very far, and her shoulders were tight and her neck was tight, and she had some problems with her vision. And so I brought my one of my main therapists that was working with me, Danielle, up, and we spent about, I don't even think we spent 3 minutes or so, maybe around that, with her working on a big vein that goes into her heart. It's called this inferior vena cava, and it's right about here. And so and when I saw it, I saw, oh my goodness, this is like the epicenter of her problem. And so we worked on it, and Danielle worked on it, I worked on it, and then we stood her back up, and she bent all the way to the floor. And so it was really cool, really exciting, great demo. And afterwards, there was a bunch of the people in the class that were lining up to talk to me. So they were all talking to me. And Jen was in the back looking all cute, and she obviously wanted to talk to me too. But all these people were taking all my time, and I'm like, oh my God, please, let's get through to that person. I want to talk to her. And then finally, she just kind of looked at me and waved and left, and I'm like, oh my God, you got to be kidding me. But then luckily she showed up, because she was working for our friend Daniela, another Danielle, in that exercise class, and she showed up again. But you know, if you were so busy working and then going to school and setting up your own business, I don't even know if you were officially a massage therapist then, or you were still.
I think I had just graduated when that demo happened, and I was starting to like, okay, I need to network, and
so is that,
this guy's
work is
fascinating.
Well, I wanted to ask you, like, how did you come to find that? I think you were already in class or knew Daniela or something, but what made you then take extra time to go on the weekend to do that? Was it networking? Like, let's go meet some people?
A little bit, but also just like, I really wanted to have connections with people that were, I could tell that the work that you were doing was ahead of where I was, like was much, it was the direction I wanted to go, and I found it fascinating. So I wanted to go check it out. And there was probably a little bit of like networking, but also just like, wow, that, you know, I can learn so much on so many levels from this person. So I was drawn to go check it out. So.
Well, cool. So I remember, I'm giving away some of our history stuff, but I remember we went for a run once before I went on a vacation to Vancouver for 10 days. And then we came back, and then we started going out. But when on our first sort of official date, I was going to go over and help Jen with her moving, but then it got moved up, so I didn't have to move much furniture. But then she had just moved into my neighborhood, so I said, "Oh, let's go get some food in the neighborhood, walk around. It's a great place with cafes and stuff." And then we had this great night, and then we were going out. But before that, my friend Martha, who ended up being our best man, my friend Martha was my best man. She asked me, "Does she know it's a date?" And I was like, "No, I don't think she knows it's a date." And but then it turns out it was a date. But when we met for that time, we went out for sushi, and then we went out and drank some wine. And over the next few days, I realized Jen had a problem, and it was a significant neurological problem, and it was going to just get worse. And I knew I could change it if she listened to me. But you don't want to just tell somebody that you're just starting to go out with to go change something in your life. But she, as it happened rather quickly, and I told her.
It was at sushi. You told me, you just gave me information at sushi. I remember where I was sitting.
About the NutraSweet or the gluten?
About the NutraSweet.
Oh, about the NutraSweet. Oh, so I told her something about a substance that's in Diet Cokes and stuff, Diet Mountain Dew, that can absolutely cause the neurological problems Jen was having. She was actually neurological symptoms of a thing that was just going to get worse. And so when we just went out, you barely knew me, and you did a couple of things that changed in your lifestyle right away, and you went for it. What made you believe me? Why did you do that? Like, why didn't you just go, this is what I do. I'm eat my food and I drink my drinks.
I don't know. I've always been open to exploring with dietary things. I think because I was aware that things weren't quite right in my GI tract, I would kind of talk to my food and be like, "Oh, is that something I should put in?" And that had like gotten me to a certain place where I was relatively functional and feeling pretty good. But I also was always open. I wasn't really thinking like solve my stomach problem because I didn't know that
what was your stomach problem?
When I was little, I had a lot of constipation, and I would have these. I kind of had a chronic low grade upset stomach, and we just always thought it was stress because I was kind of a very focused, like type A personality. I pushed myself really hard. I was always kind of very serious in school and taking on a lot of stuff, and so we just always thought it was stress. And so I just had this kind of chronic uncomfortableness in my stomach. And but then sometimes it would be completely debilitating pain where all I could do, it would happen maybe once every 3 or 4 months. All I could do was lay on my bed and curl up and find the best position possible where it hurt the least and just pray to fall asleep. That hurt so bad. Probably like maybe 4 or so times a year. I'm not sure. But I also started connecting like, oh, when I eat at these certain fast food places, that definitely seemed to be a trigger. And so my parents were great. Like, we did lots of sports and activities and stuff. And it was sometimes hard to avoid, like the team would stop and eat at a certain place. The team would vote on it. And I would figure out which foods on the menu I could kind of get away with. And I would always try to vote for some places worked better for me. I don't know why than other ones. And so I'd always vote for those. But I really started to learn how to listen to my body, even though I didn't realize that's what I was doing. So, but yeah, I just kind of had this chronic low level stomach, like ache and tightness that I didn't even realize so much that it was there until it was gone. And then I was like, oh, I was just always uncomfortable, at least, and sometimes in very bad pain. I used to go to the nurse's office in elementary school and just be in tears. And I think I annoyed the nurse quite a bit, but they would give me my Lanta, and sometimes I would go home and yeah.
Lanta has aluminum in it?
Yeah, I think at the time it had aluminum in it, which yeah, I'm sure. My parents were just trying to help me feel better and function in the world, and those were the resources they had and the best solutions they had at the time. So yeah.
Well, cool. So what do you think, what's your I guess I heard it's sort of a question that I think can help people, because it can be so tough when you're doing stuff like trying to change diet or trying to do something or trying to change your life or make things happen. It's hard sometimes because you keep getting into obstacles, big obstacles, and we've had a lot of obstacles. What makes you never said, let's just stop and just go get a job as a physical therapist? Because we could make a good living just working for somebody else, or even just having a regular physical therapy clinic and billing insurance and doing it the way the insurances and the doctors want you to do, healing sort of stuff, and not touch some of these deeper chronic conditions. What kept you in? Why do you not just say, let's just bow out and just have an easy life and make money and go to REI and buy lots of cool stuff and have weekends free? What made you keep going? Why? It's like there's been numerous times when it would have been easy to bow out or to say, that's it. We're done with this. We're going to do it the easy way, make money.
Well, part of it is that I think I understand you as a person, and I signed up with you for a reason in life. And part of that is that you are uncompromising with your integrity. And that is something that I respect and love about you. And so, you know, I can't ask you to function in the world in a way that you are not congruent with, that doesn't feel right to me. And
lucky me.
well, and I do, I think there's a purpose to it. I see the good in it. I see the advantages and the blessings that we get out of doing things differently and being the people that explore. We go to the extreme, and that's not a life for everybody, but it helps inform the big picture. We all need to be doing different things to paint the full picture.
Yeah,
that's fine. Thank you. And so, yeah, and part of it is I enjoy adventure. I enjoy learning new things. I enjoy a challenge, and I enjoy putting structures in place that work. And so I get to constantly do that. Can you drink it?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Baden. Thank you for sharing.
So that brings up a good point, because I remember there was a time when we were doing a really cool detox for people and for us at the clinic that I was had in San Diego, and it involved some supplements. It was called the Ultra Clear Detox, and it was super cool, big changes. But then we heard from a chiropractor. We went to a class, and he was getting huge results with very, very chronic, crazy stuff by doing a more extreme version of it. And so we all did it, and it was an extreme version of a way to eat for about a week, maybe 10 days, and with some supplements. And man, did you feel clear afterwards and really good. But we started showing our clients, and I remember when we made that switch to showing them this more intense way to do it. It was really hard for some of them. And I actually lost some doctors and some people, some clients, because it was just too hard. And one time in particular, this one guy got so frustrated because he just wanted to eat like a regular person. And so I've learned to that I didn't do it in one big swoop. I went in baby steps. So we just got a really good, hang on, Baden. We just got a really good Facebook message back from somebody. I hope she connects with me. Somebody that did one of the things we recommend for diet that's so valuable, so valuable. Maybe we'll tell you exactly what it is, but I don't want you to miss it by thinking you got it, because it's a very precise way to do one thing. And but she did it, and she solved some very significant neurological problems, very significant. She used to have to go to the hospital quite often, and sometimes she was even in a wheelchair. Sometimes she was with a walker. She had lots of spasms, lots of really, really bad spasms. And that all went away, and she got back to where she could even run. And because she did this one thing. But it was, it's a thing that when Jen started doing this thing, it was pretty frustrating. And she's got a story about when her and her mom went shopping once in Pasadena. But with all this, we could, if somebody came in and did everything we have for them, I am confident that they would get their health back. It's just, that's what happens when you do these things. But, and of course there's differences, and you can't guarantee results, and you can't guarantee that somebody's going to do all the work. But what do you have to say about making such big changes, and maybe your story of Pasadena, or how can you help people that might want to start to make some changes, but they've got work, they got kids in a couple of schools, they're driving around all the time, they don't want to spend their time cooking all the time. What would you say to all that?
Yeah, I mean, just start, because most things will at least start to make you feel better, and then you're more motivated, and you start to get your systems in place. And it's tricky to change things, but once you make the change, it becomes part of your routine, and you start to see how to do it. And I feel like that's part of the advantage of us living kind of in an extreme way, is that then we can create resources for people to integrate these things into their lives without it being such an overwhelming thing. And we've been doing it for so many years. It took us a long time to get to where we are, and we've done it in stages, and we've done it in steps, and we're constantly learning and refining. And so yeah, I think it's like massage school for me. I just had to start and take that leap and trust, and it felt so right. And then everything else started to fall into place. because of that. So yeah, I just think you start getting that positive feedback loop, and then you're motivated to do more. But you just have to start at first and realize that you're not going to do it all at once necessarily. You know, like I said, we didn't do it all at once. We progressively made changes, and we had parts where we hit really big walls. Like you said, in Pasadena, I hit this wall where I was up there for my sister's graduation. She was becoming a nurse anesthetist. And so it was a big day. We really wanted to celebrate her and be focused on her. And we had this small amount of time to run to Whole Foods and get stuff for like a cookout. And I had just started dating you. I had just changed my diet. And I was literally like, my mom was just running over to me. She's trying to accommodate me. She was being so sweet. And she's like trying to find good stuff, bringing it over to me, allowing me to like read. I was just reading ingredient lists on all these packages because I hadn't gone through that cleaning process in my life of like, oh, like, you know, this type of chip works for me, or this works. And, you know, I was just kind of getting there. And then reading these ingredient lists was really, it ended up being eye-opening because I was like, oh my gosh, there are like 15 things. A, why are there 15 things in these ingredients? And B, I can't even pronounce most of them. And C, I would have to research each of these ingredients. It was so overwhelming. I ended up crying in the middle of Whole Foods because I felt so much pressure and I felt like such a pain. And we'll read this in just a minute. And but the epiphany that came out of that was like, oh, maybe I don't need to eat so many things in packages. They're a pain in the butt. I need to eat whole, real food, like just a piece of meat and some vegetables and some, find a cheese that has, you know, just organic grass-fed milk and enzymes in it. And once you identify those things, then you can find them places and it makes it much easier. Oh, I know you really want to read this book, huh? But it took hitting that wall to get me to make that next leap of like out of the packages and into the whole food. And I didn't even realize that I could live that way.
Cool.
So,
Well, it seems like it's winding down.
it might be.
Why don't you move them along for a minute?
Okay.
Finish this out.
Let's go read this in the other room. Okay. Yeah. Papa will fill everyone in on the rest of this stuff. Where do you want to go read? Let's go.
So one of the things that I realized, you know, I'm a physical therapist. Supposed to work on joints and muscles and that sort of thing. And then I luckily found Sharon G. Mateo, another physical therapist, PhD, and she had a whole medical intuitive model of finding and fixing up stuff for people, and solved a lot of chronic stuff. And so then that was my world. And then matrix energetics with the energetic and instant kind of ways miracles can show up. And then the coaching model, like you got to help people with kind of like you're their coach and can put all the systems in place with them. And what happened with me was, you know, I had teeth that needed work done every 6 months. Every 6 months, I had to go pay a lot of money to a dentist, and I was just getting work done all the time. But as I got to some of these things that were going on with me, and I'm going to tell you one thing today that you can start on, and just be gentle with yourself when you do it. You know, it'll be in baby steps. But I started to get healthy, and I didn't have to have teeth problems anymore. And I quit having cavities, and I quit having to have teeth pulled and all sorts of crazy stuff. And so I got healthier. And then my anxiety went away, and all sorts of stuff shifted for me. What started me was I couldn't run for 8 months, and it was because of a spasm in my leg. But when I went and got 2 hours of a session with the stuff I was starting to learn at the time, they worked on my heart, because that was where the problem was. So my body was protecting my heart. What a smart body. But I started to learn this other way to talk to and listen to the body. And what happened to me and what happened to Jen is we went from a mess, truly a mess, like life wasn't good and our health was not good, and the result wouldn't have been good over the years, to a blessing. So mess to bless. And because of that, we found how to do this. And it's led us to many different things. Some that you could say is part of what you would think of as a training that for a physical therapist or a massage therapist or integrative manual therapist or energy medicine, matrix energetics person or health coach. But But a lot of it is we just figured out how to fix ourselves up, and then we have a way to help people. And so there's lots of things to look at and see what's going on with you. But if you hang out with us, our goal is to get you more and more of this information and start to get you some wins so you can feel better. And then start to realize, wow, you can turn this around. And then for those of you that want to do more, you can talk to us more about that. But right now, what I'm talking about is just starting, like Jen said. And that woman that Facebooked me today, I hope to talk to her because it's been many, many, many years. She did one thing with her diet, and I hesitate to even tell you what it was because it's just a cliche. It's just a fad kind of thing, and it's so easy to miss it. But do I even tell you? I'll just say it. So no, let me see. How do we say that? Basically, we found, and Sharon Giammatteo was the first one to show me, and then Thomas O'Brien, doctor and nutritionist and chiropractor person, was the second one that showed me all the research around it, getting people off of gluten. And you've probably heard that, and you're like, yeah, it's a fad. Yeah, it's not the gluten, it's something else. It's like, it's okay. But if you want to start to explore that, you could let me know, because that's a really big step. It's not the only step. There's a lot more, and there's reasons why maybe it's not just gluten and it's something else. But it's one thing you might want to look at. So we're going to start to give you more and more, kind of drip it in little by little. And every Wednesday, our hope is to give you some information that can help you. So we'll be bringing lots of people that I trust, only people I trust, only people I like their stuff, only people that have stuff that really moves the needle and helps people get their health back. And then you can start to figure some stuff out. So I hope you join us, enjoy, and we are out of here. We'll see you all in a week. Hasta la vista.